AI will make zoom lenses and the amount of megapixels obsolete. Let me explain what I mean. Hi, it's Peter here, and let's get right into the business. You can go from this to this with the help of AI. Pretty cool, isn't it? But before we get into that, a few words about the travel I made. I traveled to France and Germany last week. I spent a few days in Strasbourg and then one day in Baden-Baden, Germany. That trip to Baden-Baden was just on the way from Strasbourg to Frankfurt to the airport where I flew back home. Of course, I took some street photographs in both places and also some tourist shots. I will concentrate on the street photograph, especially on the one photograph that I showed you, and will show you how AI can help me to make the crop and all that. I usually like to travel with only one camera and one lens, and my go-to travels and everyday photography is OM5 and the lens is 20mm f1.4 Pro. I think that combination is just perfect for me. The OM5 fits my hands perfectly. I do have the ECG 5 grip on it to make it even better, and then the Peak Design wrist cuff that I have, which I really like. It's a good to have the wrist cuff, so it's more safe and nobody will kind of grab the camera from your hand because you have the wrist there, and then you know I won't drop it either. I've also painted the camera. I've also marked with the permanent marker the white writings to be black, so I painted over them so the camera is even less visible, because I want to have my cameras black so that I can be more invisible when I'm doing street photography, so there won't be any reflections from the silver top of the camera. Even though I like the look of a camera when it's silver on the top, it looks better, but it's not that convenient for me, at least. But then, how do I manage with one lens? I've get a lot of questions about why don't I have a zoom lens to be so that things would be more versatile. And yeah, that's partly true, but I'm so used to the field of view of the 20mm lens, which is equivalent to 40mm if we're talking in the full frame terms, and then we're talking about the field of view. It's perfect street photograph lens for me, because when I'm out there, I stand somewhere, I know exactly what the crop is even before I put the camera on my face and take the image. There is just something that I'm so used to that when I'm using that combination. It's just something that happens. It's so easy to make the composition and the crop because I know it beforehand. I can pre-visualize what the crop will be. But do I miss any shots? Yes and no. Sometimes something happens too far away and I can make it there, and with the zoom I could make it, but then the camera wouldn't be so not versatile, but it's so handy and compact. So what I do is I pre-visualize it, and if I consider the scene to be worth photographing, I will grab the photograph. And here's the example. This is the original and this is the crop that I made, and in order to get this is to pre-visualize the image from this to this, and that's the key. I had no chance of crossing the roads from here closer to the subject or the crop that I wanted to do, because it was a crossroads, middle of the road, cars going back and forth, 5 roads were crossing on this. And then besides, if I had wanted to take this image straight out of the camera, I would have had to stand in the middle of the road, and that's always dangerous when you're concentrating on a subject. You don't necessarily see that much what's behind you and all that. So that's why I just quickly grabbed the shot or few shots of this, and this one was the best one because here the man is standing in the sun, so with the bright jacket it kind of pops out of the whole scene, and then it looks a really classical street photograph that could have been taken in France, because it is taken in France, in Strasbourg. And I like this type of classical street photographs, and I think this is I really like this image myself, and very happy with it. And also the face is slightly turned away, so there is the privacy, because there is a strict rules in France about street photographs. If I take a street photograph, the copyright is actually owned by the person if it's recognizable. That's roughly the way it is. So it's always safer to do it this way, because the face isn't really that interesting in this particular shot, because it's not about the man who he is. It's more about just a piece of art in a way that it doesn't matter who the person is. It's what it looks like, what the clothes are, what the hat and everything, and the background. I think that's the whole point of this image. It's not important who the person is. It's a different thing if it was a portrait of the man, then it would be different. But on this time, it wasn't. It's just a, pretty image in my opinion that looks like a classical street photograph. And now you know why I took it so far away. Because, like I said, I was pre-visualizing how the image looks, and then I knew that I can use Topaz Photo AI to make the image look a lot better. I can crop it and upscale it. The current algorithms that the AI uses for upscaling the images are stunning. You don't really see the difference. I could crop this easily even more. This is 2x crop, or 2x upscale, I mean. And it looks perfect. There's nothing wrong with the image, because at the same time when it's making the upscale, it will enhance the image and make it sharper and do its magic. And I think this is why the megapixels and the zoom lens and the field of view is not that important. To get the image, you still need to press the shutter at the right time. So you need to have the pre-visualizing in your head and then press the shutter at the right time, or the time that you want. Some might think it's not the right time, but it's right time for you. And in this case, for this image, it was right time for me to press the shutter. So you still have need to do all that. And I don't see a problem in cropping the images and upscaling them if I have pre-visualized the image. I had the image in my mind when I took it. Of course, if you just, fire away and randomly shoot and then afterwards you crop it, yeah, it doesn't really matter either, but I still like to have the image the way I want when I'm making the image, or that I have the image in my mind when I'm making a shot. So it's, in that sense, it's not a random shot even though I crop it. And what about the workflow? Let's me see. Yes, usually I might upscale the image first and then make the image edits, but on this one I made the crop in Lightroom and made all the adjustments to black and white, contrast, not white balance, but exposure and all that. Because of course it's photographed exposed to the right, so I needed to lower the exposure slightly. And after that, I exported this as a TIFF file and brought it into Topaz Photo AI and upscaled it twice. And I just had everything on manual or the autopilot, as they say, and it came out really nice. And this is why I'm claiming that megapixels and the field of view and the focal length doesn't really matter, because you can upscale the image quite a lot. And that's why 20 megapixels for me is totally enough. There is no need for bigger amount of megapixels. But of course, if your camera has more megapixels, then you have even more possibilities to crop the image. You can have an even smaller part of the image if you have more megapixels in your image. So they're not, in that sense, obsolete anymore. And the same thing goes with longer lenses. If you're photographing birds, for example, and don't have enough reach on your lens, you just crop it and upscale the image. And that's really, really something revolutionary in a way, because back in the days when digital was new, there was no way of upscaling the images. It just went all apart and artifacts and everything. But now this is something totally astonishing if you compare it to the old days. But I have to say one thing, pre-visualizing is the key. You need to see the image from all that what's around it and concentrate on the thing that you want to crop into the image. And I think that's something that if that's not something that you can do, it is something that you should practice. That is really important to be able to do this. And luckily, Topaz Labs has a great deal on Photo AI right now. It will run until 16th of June. You get the software for 159 euros. The normal price, or the regular price, is 199. So there is quite a big reduction on price. And it also has a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it includes 1 year of updates too. So very good deal. And I do have some affiliate links in the description down below if you want to get the software. And remember, downloading it and buying it and testing it, and you will get your money back if you're not satisfied. As you saw, Topaz Photo AI is quite competent software. And if you're interested in that, there are some more videos about Photo AI in that playlist. But hey, thanks for watching and bye for now.